Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we are looking at two sets from the Zylegen kind of mock Lego sets, and it's a little different. So we have some military vehicles here, really kind of neat. Just trying to dip my toes a little bit more into the military vehicle line here as we kind of keep things going on. So what I did is I got this one put together already. I was watching a movie while I got that one together. And today we're going to put together the Lockheed XM808 Twister. So I don't know much about this, but we will look this up so that way we can explain what these are and who's using these. Because I'm sure that, it's out. This is stuff that's out there. So we'll figure out exactly who's using these and what they're using these for. Or maybe it's just a prototype, because I don't know. This looks kind of futuristic here, but it's seen that it is from Lockheed Martin. It's maybe just their first foray into doing military vehicles. I really don't know. I don't spend a lot of time trying to figure out exactly who's making all of what, outside of knowing that we do have Oshkosh Truck, which does make a lot of U.S. military vehicles. And I know that a lot of the troops that do run their vehicles are very happy with the vehicles that they run. But having different military vehicles from around the world, or that are being sold around the world, or just even prototypes, are really neat and interesting and all that. And, doing a little bit more of the military, kind of to keep up with the mecha that we've been working on, the stuff from Battletech, or if you want to view some of the mechs from Robotech, that would work as well. Now, like any other set that we get from any of the mock builds, essentially you got to open everything up, pour it out, and then go from there. The good news is this looks like it is only about 339 pieces, so it's not a huge set, so trying to get through this should not be all that bad. This set was the same way, so I do have to kind of watch out what pieces I grab, because there are print on some of the pieces here. So that is kind of nice, the fact that we don't have to apply stickers. Wonderful thoughts there. We'll get into this. This is going to be obviously the second one I've got. I do have a third one, and if I've got the time here today, I might put the third one together, and then when we get this all done, we'll have all three of them together. Mainly because it'd be kind of nice just to be able to show them all off at one time, and then instead of more videos for, it's fun putting them together and everything else, but there's times where, hey, we don't need to make tons of videos just for video's sake. I'm doing this for fun and excitement and all that. Not just to, this is, in part because of my own enjoyment, but the other part is, hey, you guys might be interested in these. These are bought from Amazon. So if you look up, like Lego Army or whatever, I'm sure you might come across these. There's other brands out there. That's usually how I do my general searches. Just keeping it honest and letting you know how I come across some of this stuff, so we can kind of put some of these things together. And of course I have my happy helper here. Indy's here, all ready to give us a helping hand, so that's good. And then we'll kind of get into this. We'll open these up and we'll get going from there. And apparently I have to give some pets because I was gone doing some other stuff. So all right, and here we go. right. So let's get into this here. So we have our two vehicles here. Let's see, the Lockheed Martin XM808 Twister is the coolest vehicle that never got built. This was strictly a prototype. So let's see if I can actually get some stats here. I'm going to guess it's an 8x8 all-terrain vehicle that is probably sprouting a probably an M60 or so, or a 50 cal maybe even on top here. All right, there's not much. It just says prototype armored scout car from 1970. So this is an older vehicle. It was a prototype. A very interesting vehicle. It looks like we did actually have someone sitting in the front, and then we had the rest of the crew in the back. Most likely a 50 caliber chain belt fed machine gun on top or so. I don't have any extra information on that. I really don't. I really wish I did. It's an interesting concept. I just don't have any information on it. And then our other one here is our M142 HIMARS. So this is a high mobility artillery rocket system, light multiple rocket launcher developed in the 1990s for the United States Army. So just kind of leaving it at that. As sets go, though, they are interesting. Some slight issues here, most notably with the Technic as I pick it up here. It is nice that we actually have the wheels that, they can flow back and forth, all that. We do have our mud guards and that built in here, which is nice. The only problem is, I don't know if you guys really saw that or not, some of the Technic pieces holding the wheels on wanted to fall off. So a little bit of the quality control here. And I kind of put this back a little bit farther than I should have, I think, originally. But it kind of works out here okay. Just one of those little things. Like I said again, it's an interesting vehicle. The fact that this is a tried and true method. I mean, we use this for tractors today. Being able to twist, the front two wheels forward or backwards. The fact that it's four wheels and we have an independent suspension system is kind of nice. Like I said, it's probably a 50 caliber machine gun, belt-fed machine gun up on top. Probably with our command crew in here and maybe one or two people in the back, something like that. And I'm going to guess maybe one person in the front, unless this is just nothing but our engine compartment in that. Although it does look like there's a small engine compartment in the back, so I'm not exactly certain how that all works out. But it's a fun vehicle to look at and to have put together. Yep, and then there goes the wheel. That's one of the things I was talking about. Just some of those Technic pieces just did not want to sit right in there, so it just kind of fell through. Again, doing some of these mock builds, these are interesting vehicles. I might actually do something I've never done before, and I've mentioned this before. I might actually put a little dab of glue in there to keep them together on some of the questionable pieces. Otherwise, the build is pretty good. No major issues outside of getting towards the end with the Technic. It's different on how they're building, and I'm not knocking them because they're thinking outside of the box. We're using what is typically a hinge, but it's got the bigger plate on there to hold that straight out, and then they do brick that in on the back here, so it is fairly solid. Not a big issue there, but I'm just throwing it out there. It is something outside of the norm, something I'm not quite used to. So with that being the case, it's just something that takes me a little bit by surprise. Nice look in the back, how we had bricked all this up, a little handhold there. Maybe if they had done a different piece and actually put a handhold back here, that might be a little bit better, but that's just a little here, a little there. It's not a major deal. Just kind of throwing that out there. It's sitting a little wonky now because it doesn't have that extra tire on there. Yep, and then that one fell off too. So, like I said, some of the quality on the Technic pieces. Otherwise, the other bricks, as you had seen, I've made a couple flubs here. I was getting the parts for one spot, and then I was looking at the build underneath it. So that was on me. Really not that bad. These lights here kind of work, kind of don't. I think maybe there's a different way to do that, but you know what? It is what it is. Not a major deal. Looking at it, though, it is kind of nice. It is an interesting vehicle, which is why I had picked it up. I had no idea who made it. Honestly, when I first got it, I didn't even know it was a prototype or anything. So, very nicely done. It would be kind of nicer if we could have gotten someone inside there, but it is what it is. Being a prototype, probably just the fact that nobody knows how it's supposed to be. So, then when we look at our M142 missile launcher, so this, again, does not have very many issues. There are a couple things here, and again, I might have to put a little bit of glue, most notably here on the back, because this hangs off here, and I have a tendency of, I'm picking it up. I'm not trying to, but I kind of knock these and I knock a piece off. Kind of drives me nuts in that regard. Nothing major, though. I will say it's not major as far as any of that goes. Trying to keep our turret on here correctly. If this was a rounded piece, I think this would be a little bit better. The fact that it's squared in there gives a little bit of an issue. I think I've got it set in there good now, so it's not too bad. And then this is supposed to come up to kind of hold that up there as it's launching. Okay, and we're using ball joints for our hinge here, so that works out pretty good. Looking at it now, we have, obviously this is a wider vehicle, so we have two windshields here. Now, when you actually look at the real military vehicle, these are some small windows, so we actually have a lot better vision in our, Lego fantasy world than what we do in the real life. So in that regards, no major complaints. It looks nice. It seems like it's pretty good. The bricks had held together really nicely. I didn't have any major issues. Sometimes, I'm putting things together and I'm trying to find the right ones, and I'm hoping I'm grabbing the right ones, and you're looking at pictures. But all in all, this does work pretty good, and it is pretty nice. There was a couple times in here because of looking at the plates. Now, let me show you how the instructions are. And I admit my glasses are not the best because they've got that auto tint, and then they have a blue light tint. So for me, everything gets a little darker. So when I'm looking at between black and a dark gray, sometimes I have some slight issues. So I admit that. That's more on me. Some of this is a little bit smaller, especially once you start getting a lot of different pieces in here. So I'm not blaming them for how they're doing it. It's just how it comes up looking to my silly eyes because of, I've got glasses that I don't think I will ever do glasses like this again. So that's on the me side, not on their instruction side. Following the instructions, it did go together pretty good. I don't know what the time was on this that it took me to get this all together, but it was pretty nice. Nicely done. Not a bad set in either regards, outside of, like I said, I might want to put just a little bit of glue in there because I don't intend to ever take these apart. These are going to be the way they are. Just like the mechs. If there's anything that's a little loose, I might just put a little dab of glue in there just to keep it. These are never intended for me to ever tear apart, and because of that, I might do something I've never tried to do before. But it is kind of fun and interesting having some different military vehicles, things that Lego themselves, because of their own philosophy and all that, which I do really respect, have said that they have no desire to do. So as far as that goes, not a major deal. Now this is using a double door here, so some of us old timers, I mean, we're used to just using the single door. They're using a double to really kind of get that there. This piece is supposed to open, but unfortunately it really doesn't, so it just is what it is. It's not bad. I do have my Cobra Trooper here, so as we're looking at it, you know, Craveny, he can almost stand in there. Just saying, he can almost literally stand in that doorway. But yeah, it is a nice set though. I don't have any issues. Of course, we're not going to get a figure inside here. This is supposed to be a hatch on the back, which once I loosen that up, then it wants to keep coming off, and I keep losing my antenna. It's not Indy's fault. It's not like she's here attacking any of this stuff. It's all on me. I can't blame anyone, and I wouldn't blame her anyways. I try to take the blame. If it's a me thing, it's a me thing. I'm not going to blame someone else. But they're nice sets. Remember, it's Zylegen, Zylegen. Not bad sets. There is another one where it's like a flatbed truck, but it's got like a Abrams tank cannon on there. It's a mobile howitzer, apparently. I was going to try and throw that up here today, but I'm kind of running a little long on time here, just getting this all together to begin with. And I guess we'll just have to make that a separate video at a different time. But it is fun getting these together. Shoot, now I got the doors swinging a little too far. That might be a slight issue for some people. And, you know, some of these pieces, the way that they're bricked in, because of, you know, I'm always, you guys have seen me do these things a couple times, and, you know, I always knock things apart. I don't know what it is, but it's just me. So I don't want to bash anyone else on their creativity and how they did these things. It's just me and the fact that I'm always fumbling things, and I'm not always the easiest on things here. So, but there again, these are more for adult collectors, not for kid collectors. So if you're getting them for the kids, you know, just be warned. They weren't overly expensive. I think I was able to find them on sale, so I think that they were about like $15 to $20 a piece. For about 400 pieces or so each. You know, it's a little pricier than our average, but it is what it is. It's not Lego doing it. I did pick up some other Lego sets that we will get going here probably tomorrow, and all that stuff. And then again, because of licensing or whatever else, you know, you can kind of justify it a little bit here and there, as long as it's not too expensive. Once we start getting, there are some manufacturers, I've seen one going for about like 300 pieces that they wanted like $80 for, because it's a military style vehicle, and then they're just commanding that money, which if that's something you're willing to spend, you know, more credit to you. But I think a lot of us were having a harder time trying to spend, you know, $80 on a 300 piece or so set. So just trying to keep things in a reality. It's fun putting mock sets together, but the fact is you have to have everything out at one time, and it is a little hunt and peck. It doesn't help the fact that I've always got, and I'm doing this incorrectly because I didn't have the camera up here. I didn't always have everything here you know, I've got a camera in front of me as I'm putting all this stuff together for you guys to be able to see. And, you know, that's not a complaint to anything else, but, you know, it's just having nice small sets like this. Lego with just being able to have bag 1, bag 2, or whatever for smaller sets even is really kind of nice. We just have to figure out what we're going to do with these wheels. Like I said, I'll just put a little dab of glue in there because these aren't going to come apart. I'm not 100% certain if I got these 100 or correctly in here or not. I did want to point that out because I'm trying to do it and then I'm looking at it and I think you guys saw me as like, should it be this way, or because this one's a little bit longer reach, I don't know if that should be in the back or not. So I might have to take that apart, try it around the other way and see if it still works, and if it works a little bit better. Keep in mind, this is our front, this right here is our front guard. If my tire is going up there, that might be a little bit more in the way. So while we're talking about this, I might flip that around, see how well we do. Because if it's an issue that we have to fix, it's an issue we have to fix, and we will just go with it and see how well we do with that. And that just wants to come apart fairly easily. There we go. All right, so because I can always adjust that. Let me see if I can get that down here. Yep, that seems like that's better here. Nope, it's binding up more because it's hitting my back bumper. So it's hitting this part back here. So I think that's going to have to go the other way around and just kind of stay that way. But it's something that we had to find out. And like I said, I'll just throw a little dab of... Now, if we get into doing our things, some of the things I'd like to do, you might see these again. These aren't just going to be a single time showing, but possible set pieces, especially if we do like a Battletech universe or something like that, or a military universe. It's the wheel falls off again. You shyster. All right. As I do like a military universe, I might bring these back out as different set pieces, just for the fun of it. Why not? They're fun. So we have fun getting them, fun displaying them, and why not use them in a kind of narrative thing or whatever. So with that, thank you so very much for joining me today. It's wonderful having you here. Hope you enjoy the series, kind of doing a little bit of military stuff as well as some of the regular Lego stuff. You know, sometimes I get good weather and I can go outside and I can do something else, but for our Saturdays, but otherwise have a little bit of a military Lego theme or whatever going, and then we go from there. But otherwise, hope everyone stays well, and I will see you in the next video.